Welcome to this bite-sized video that gives a basic introduction into Hawthorn, an intellectual property management assessment tool. Hawthorn is an intellectual property management assessment or audit tool. The primary objective of Hawthorn is to help with assessing the level of maturity or sophistication of a company from an IP management perspective. It is important to remember that the level of sophistication with respect to IP management is not the same at every company. Some companies are very advanced, protecting their IP assets, managing their IP risks, and leveraging this asset type to gain a sustainable competitive advantage, while others are in their infancy, trying to understand the basics of IP management. The IP management maturity model is a framework that describes an improvement path from an ad hoc immature approach to IP management to a mature, disciplined, sophisticated approach. The IP management maturity ladder consists of well-defined steps or stages. As the company moves up the ladder, it moves from passive to active to proactive to persuasive with respect to IP and IP management. The company as a whole moves from having simple recognition of IP down at the base of the ladder to activism about IP towards the top of the ladder. This concept of an IP management maturity ladder first emerged some years ago and has been further developed by various IP experts since then. In essence, Hawthorn codifies this IP maturity ladder. Hawthorn consists of a detailed questionnaire subdivided into logical sections. The sections include IP awareness and education, IP definition, IP maturity and sophistication, IP policies, processes and systems, relative IP value and risk, IP models, the IP portfolio of the company, IP and agreements and contracts, how IP adds value, IP risk, IP resourcing, IP in the online world, IP strategy, and IP governance. The questionnaire takes a broad yet deep look at IP management within an organization. There are also detailed guidance notes within the Hawthorn tool. There are multiple use cases for the Hawthorn tool. One simple case is when doing self-assessment, SWOT analysis, or current state analysis. Hawthorn may be used for an informal IP management assessment exercise, conducted, for example, by an IP consultant or IP advisor. It may be used for more formal IP management audits, for example, as part of an IP due diligence exercise. Hawthorn may be used for IP management benchmarking exercises involving multiple entities. It may help with screening for IP insurance and IP litigation funding. And we know of some companies who have already integrated it into their supplier relationship management process. Chiltern Innovation Services has operating companies as well as IP law firms and IP consultancy firms as licensees. Operating companies tend to use Hawthorn for self-assessment purposes, whereas IP law firms and IP consultancy firms are using it to underpin their IP management audit services they offer to their clients. Hawthorn runs on a secure online GDPR-compliant platform. The Hawthorn tool runs on a Smart Survey platform. Smart Survey is a UK-based provider of digital survey solutions. Smart Survey is ISO 27001 certified. It is also GDPR compliant. Alternative platforms for Hawthorn exist if required. Hawthorn allows responses to be collected in real time. Results may be converted into custom graphs and charts within Smart Survey. The data from the assessment may be exported to .csv, Excel, or .doc, Word. Hawthorn is capable of generating a number of standard reports. It is also possible to share results easily with others by sending them a password-protected link. Hawthorn adds tremendous value to companies starting on their IP management journey. Knowing where you are is always a good start. Hawthorn is also proving a value to companies going through or about to go through some corporate event, for example, an investment round, an M&A exercise, a JV project, a major reorganization, or internationalization. The typical phases in an IP management assessment project are planning, communication, interviews of key individuals, data gathering, data analysis, reporting, and wrap-up, Hawthorn adds tremendous value in the highlighted phases. To summarise, Hawthorn is an IP management assessment or audit tool. The primary objective of Hawthorn is to help with assessing the level of maturity or sophistication of a company from an IP management perspective. Knowing where you are is always a good start. Thank you for your attention.